here to announce our new show that we're making.
Or, hoping to make.
It's not hoping, we're actually making it this time.
Yup.
It's actually real this time.
Alright, so from the beautiful mind of yours truly, and the hard-working, crusty fingers of our friend Thorin here, we are working on, and will hopefully post soon, possibly this week sometime, hopefully. It doesn't matter when, though, because we don't exactly have a schedule. The series name, Going Obscure.
There we go. Disturbing coincidence or not, that is not the only clue that comes with this.
Nightcrawler is a
When
small
reversed,
upper body
Steve accompanying the story is admittedly real. And this is most likely a television show. It's possible The Simpsons in reality is not a cartoon sitcom, but a reality live-action TV series.
Super Mario 64, classic game.
This Disney conspiracy consists mainly of subliminal images that are claimed to be hidden in Disney movies, not even
What may come off as just one of the park's
determine
mascots
if these so-called
actually
pseudosciences had any real basis in the Believe it or not, the land was not a most test sites.
Originally made for the ZX81, 3D Monster Maze is technically the first ever survival horror game. Creator of Chanel Online, twice full to ampersand.
Mannequins wearing glasses and fedoras can be seen surrounding a skeleton laying on a bed. One is holding duct tape. What we may have just seen from Santa Claus himself.
Paranormal
Now,
occurrences
most
that
likely killed
Skinwalker
that
Ranch
day.
is most known for
Most examples of
intensified
that asking
asking
legal
father
songs were experimental,
such
such as evidence that it consistent rain. John Speed
Players that would show up on words like usually. It's a quiet, slow melody like a whale.
Okay, you're good.
The history of going obscure. So I started this channel in 2009, the summer of 2009, so I would have been 8 years old when I made it. It started as a channel called Godzilla Fan 30.
I started out in 2014, about 5 years after Gabe. And I started a channel called, well, it was just my name, my first name and last name. And I was in 6th grade, so I was in middle school, and all I would upload on there was Guitar Hero and Rock Band videos.
I started with these videos with Jack and Daxter, walkthrough of it. And it was bad. I stacked up a bunch of boxes and books, put my flip camera that my family got at the time that just became mine after a while.
So I started the channel Thorncraft. First video was uploaded December 29th, 2014. I used my iPod as a camera and I propped it up with some books and stuff. I think Gabe did the same thing when he started. So yeah, I propped it up with books and I used iMovie on my phone. So that was my first experience with editing, and I got pretty good at it up until April when I got Bandicam and I started recording videos from the computer instead of with a camera.
My first videos are the How to Unlock series for Godzilla Unleashed for the Wii. And those actually got weirdly popular. They all have like at least like a couple thousand views to like a decent 100. And that didn't give me much fame. I probably had like 100 subscribers before going obscure at the end of it after, 10, 11 years.
None of those videos got very popular. I think one did, and it was like I think it was called Turkey Utility Mod, and it got like 900 views. I think it's surpassed 1,000 now for some reason.
I would mostly just do gaming videos for a long time as Godzilla Fan 30, and I eventually, probably in like late middle school, changed it to the gaming mutt. because a friend of mine said something dumb on like a holiday, like, oh, you play so many different consoles, you're like a gaming mutt. I don't know why I remember that specifically out of everything, but who knows. I would continue to do gaming videos, and I tried to diversify my stuff. I added intros using Windows Movie Maker. I would download songs. I would do basic editing. I got Bandicam at that point, and a really cheap, whatever it's called, capture card. That's the word. Thank you, man, behind the camera.
Yep.
But it didn't really get me anywhere.
So in the winter of my junior year in high school, I got fed up and just said, you know what, I'm done. Minecraft is stupid now, because at that point it was still just kids playing it. And I started a new channel called Thorin, and that's the one that I currently use right now. At the same time, me and Gabe were working on this thing called Thornmut Podcast, which was a collaboration channel that we made. Gabe had also collabed on my channel, my Thorncraft channel, and we did a couple Minecraft videos in the summer of 2015. And you can check those out if you want.
At the time of the gaming mud era, was getting more and more bored with YouTube. Like, I was like, whatever, this is all boring and not as fun as it used to be, and I'm not going anywhere. And we were doing Thornmut Podcast at the same time, and you can definitely tell I was an edgy teenager at the time, because I was an edgy teenager at the time. Then we eventually reached Going Obscure, and how that started was I was just scrolling around and ran into a conspiracy theory iceberg long before conspiracy theories were popular. Or not conspiracy theories, I've always been popular, but icebergs have been popular.
So now this leads us up to last April. He comes to me and texts me and says, hey, I'm thinking of starting this new series on my channel. I want to cover conspiracy theories and stuff. And I was like, that's cool. If you need help, I can help you out.
So I first went with Matt as my editor because he's like the only other person I know that does YouTube. It was like right at the beginning of lockdown stuff. So we were both seniors in high school, Matt and I. So we probably had just a ton of time on our hands, and I was just doing whatever ran into it, and had the idea of making a series based on these conspiracy theories on this iceberg.
At this point, he was just going to edit them and make them all himself, and it was just going to be him hosting the thing. So then I suggested, hey, you should cover Paulas Dead for one of your theories, because I had just watched a video the day before by a YouTube channel called Vinyl Rewind. I don't know if anyone has heard of them, but he did a video on the Paulas Dead conspiracy, and it was really in-depth and really cool, and I got hooked on the theory. So I suggested it to Gabe, and then he said, if you want to help out with that video, you can. So at this point, it was just going to be me in that one video.
But we decided to go with Paulas Dead first because, you know, why not? We decided to go with it because it was a more popular theory, and we thought maybe we'd get some traction from it. I'm pretty sure pretty much every topic in season 1 was the same, except Mario 64 we weren't aware of. It wasn't made up yet, I'm pretty sure. And it was going to be skeletons on the moon.
So prior to making season 1 of Going Obscure, this was before we were even writing the script, we decided to make the intro to Going Obscure, or I did, in my infinite wisdom and amazing editing skills and amazing cinematography. So I sat, actually it was right behind us, and you'll see how we made it in the behind the scenes Going Obscure video. So we made the intro, but at this point the show was called Getting Obscure.
Going Obscure season 1. This was the experimental season. Well, technically. It was kind of our just like see what we can do season, where we just went with conspiracy topics, but also we're just kind of getting our footing, seeing what we could do, and for the majority of it having no audience. We started with Paulas Dead, which we chose because it was a more popular topic people know about, so we were hoping that people would find our channel easily.
And me and Gabe both wrote the script for this one. and it took like weeks to write, and we were so sick of that theory by the time it was over, and we just wanted to be done with it. So I started writing episode 2, Fresno Nightcrawlers, while Gabe was still working on episode 1.
And then we went with Fresno Nightcrawlers, which we decided to go with a cryptid story, and that's a weird one that we decided to go with. That's where I said Yosemite, and everybody laughed at me.
Season 1 was kind of the same thing. We did more cryptid kind of stuff, more scary topics. I honestly prefer the scary topics because my inspiration for this was like Chills, Top Tens, who else? Well, just basically those kinds of people. Those top 10 channels, top 10 scariest kind of stuff. Mr. Nightmare was another one, even though he doesn't do top 10s, but he was another inspiration.
That's when we started kind of getting into that formula. It was probably nearing the end of our senior year of high school, so we were probably really not busy at all. So we were just pumping these out week on a weekly basis, and for the majority of the season we only had like 40 views an episode, and some of them were probably us, and then the rest were people we knew like in real life, including our parents probably. Then we eventually reached Super Mario 64, and that's our turning point episode.
Then episode 8 came out, Mario 64. Gabe texts me in the morning and says, we're not going to do Skeleton on the Moon. I was like, okay, but you already wrote the script. Because the whole script was done and it was ready. And then he texts a picture of him with his finger down on a book or something and says, no, it was his hand. He was like, hand down. We are doing Mario 64. I was like, all right, if you say so. And we got like an 8-minute episode out, and people are making fun of Gabe's voice.
I learned about Mario 64 out of anywhere I could have found it, iFunny. I ran into a post on iFunny talking about like the Nintendo ninjas when you find out the secret of Mario 64, and I was so intrigued I commented, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Stop." So I started looking into it, and I suddenly discovered that there's this huge conspiracy theory iceberg about Mario 64 and how every copy of it is personalized. I'm assuming the majority of people that are watching this found us through there or post from there, because that's where we started really getting popular.
Then episode 9, my personal favorite episode, Simpsons, came out. That was actually my brother's favorite episode, too. He was big into that theory because both of us like the show. Actually, a lot of people like the show, but, it was just a fun theory. And then the season ended with Empty Internet, which was kind of it was a cool episode, I guess. I don't really consider it that, notable or memorable.
The next episode was The Simpsons is Real Radiation Footage, which is one of our favorites. And that one is very popular due to Mario 64 because of its proximity. And people either really loved it or some people just didn't get the joke and didn't understand that we didn't understand, or we understood what it actually is. But that was a very small group of people. Then we finally ended the season with Empty Internet and did our little face reveals on a Shields escalator with our friend in the background. And then that was the end of season 1, and we got popular earlier than I would have expected. I thought by the end of season 1 we'd maybe get at the very most 200 subscribers, but by the end we were over 1,000, which is insane. And we're still popular, or we're decently popular for a small channel. We do well.
And then in the summer, late June, we did narration of a story that my grandpa made, or he used to tell us in the woods when we were little, about the Windigo. The Windigo story. This is an actual deer skull, by the way. This is real.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, he found it in the woods, probably while he was telling us the story. So yeah, you told us about the Windigo.
We also did a live stream of the whole season after that. It was more like an experimental thing. We didn't do it with season 2 or 3.
And then season 2 came out and was headlined with Walt Disney 666 conspiracy. And that came once again, people, from the great mind of yours truly.
Going Obscure season 2. Well, this is the first season with our popularity in mind. Because a lot of season 1 was just our own little thing, our hobby, but now we were making a little bit of money. Being Going Obscure, I wanted to talk about a variety of obscure topics, not just conspiracy theories and creepy stuff. I wanted to add video games, movies, TV, anything obscure, which we experimented on in this season. We started with a classic Walt Disney conspiracies. We're saying that he corrupted the mind of the youth and everything, and that's fun to do. We also did tulpas. I learned about tulpas through a video claiming that all of the characters in Chris Chan's world are tulpas in his mind, that they're technically real in his head.
And then the rest of season 2 was kind of lackluster. You know, we had Robotrek episode 3, which is me and Gabe's collective worst episode.
But our first experiment episode was 13, Robotrek, which is both of our least favorite episodes. It's only 2 minutes, like 2.5 minutes. It was a big experiment one. I never played the game before. I still haven't. I just went off the Wikipedia article that was probably about as long as the episode itself. And there's not that many videos on it to really talk about. And we forget about that one. It's part of the 5 bad episodes.
Season 2 was kind of an experimental thing. We wanted to see what you guys wanted to see. Kind of, you know, put anything and everything out. Like, we did obscure TV shows. Land of the Lost, which was a show I watched when I was little. And my parents grew up watching it. And we did more video game stuff. Less scary topics. We did a science one, or not a science one, a pseudoscience one. What was it called? Mars Effect. Just to see what you guys wanted to see, and you guys weren't too thrilled with those. They didn't get very many views. Our last 2 episodes of the season were good. Gabe likes them more than me, but you know, they're better.
The big episode that, in my opinion, in this season that I liked the most was Chanel Online. Chanel Online was a lot of fun to do. It's probably the most fun I've had writing a script for an episode, so it's my personal favorite. And then we did 3301337.cf, which also gets the record of the most dangerous episode I've researched, because it was only archived and the original website became like a virus website where it was just to host like not nice stuff. Going Obscure season 3. This season was the best of the 3.
Best of the 4.
Best of the 4 seasons so far. Even though it was probably the most stressful 3 to do, because Matt was in college and things were just busier. I moved out of my parents at the time, and it was just a lot of hecticness because I was moving into an apartment. He was doing college and work and everything, so it was a bit harder to finish everything. That's why season 3 was a bit longer to make.
I was dying in college, okay? I was dying. And we took like a month-long break, I think, in between episode 6 and 7. And, you know, it had to be done, and you guys were very, like,
supportive.
Yeah, supportive of that. You guys didn't really care too much. We were a little nervous at some points, thinking that, like, our viewers would get, you know, antsy, kind of, like, expecting us to put something out. So that was a little bit stressful. But the season's over, and our next season will be better.
But this season was definitely where we figured out our bread and butter. We knew what we were doing at this point, or at least for the most part. And it was just a lot of fun to make. What was episode 1 of season 3? Fallout 4 was Matt's idea. We always did like a kind of variety of each of our topics we wanted to talk about, and usually if it was my topic, I'd write the script, and if it was his, he'd write it. But then sometimes I'd write his. Sometimes he'd write mine.
Yeah.
Kind of is all over the place.
Fallout 4 mannequins are real. Now, a lot of people know this. Gabe, my coworkers, my other friends, they all know that Fallout 4 is my favorite game of all time. And I know you're like, but why not New Vegas? Well, okay. I'm not going to get into that. Okay? Just be quiet. Fallout 4 is my favorite game, so I wanted to do the number one theory in that game: the mannequins are alive. Which they aren't, but it's still a fun theory to look at. And then a lot of the theories for season 3, we once again kind of went back to the scary kind of stuff. You know, camera heads. A lot of people say the thumbnail for camera heads is kind of spooky. And it's our most viewed episode of the season, which is cool.
But then we did Santa is Real, which is one of our favorite episodes because it's a forgotten YouTube video YouTube channel we made.
Now that is an episode, let me tell you. That was the most fun we've ever had making one. We put a lot of work into this one.
We could record extra things. We made our own content. We could make it just whatever jokes we wanted. I was the one dressed up as Santa with the power drill. That was a lot of fun.
I was Santa's voice, and then our friend Michael was Nick,
the victim. Yeah, but that was a ton of fun to make. Santa is out there. He's real. Santa is real.
We made a channel called Santa's Real, and we added lore to it, like this guy's getting interrogated by Santa, and we posted it all in 2018. And then I lost the password for the channel, and then Christmas time comes, and I was like, hey, me and Gabe both agreed we should do a video about that and just say that Nick, the supposed guy getting haunted by Santa, sent us clips, new footage of Santa. And
which were clips that we were gonna post on there anyway.
They'd been done since 2018, but I lost the password, so they weren't on there. And then we made the final one the day the video was posted, I'm pretty sure.
Episode 4 of season 3 was Ocarina of Time Rumors. That was a lot of fun for me to make, not a lot of fun for Matt to edit. But it was just a topic that I always wanted to talk about since season 1, because I thought the hunt for the Triforce in this game was a very interesting thing that went on back in the 90s internet, and it was just like a good example to show how things were back then. It was just not as easy to find information, and it was just a lot of rumors, and it was a lot of fun. And then we did Skinwalker Ranch, which is our longest episode so far at 17 minutes. Our biggest complaint we got from season 2 was that episodes weren't long enough. Most people's complaints about season 2 is that. So we were really trying to make each episode a good length. Sorry, I had to burp. But we also got to have our first collaboration with a friend of mine who goes by Children of the Night on YouTube. He does narrations and creepypastas. I wish the episode gave him a little bit more traction.
Subscribe to him now.
Subscribe to him. Link up in the card.
It's right there. It's where my finger is, right there. Yeah, and then the rest of season 3 came out. We did a Paulas Dead part 2. That was pretty fun to make. It was cool to revisit that theory that we did a year ago now.
So then we had a month-long break. That's why it was a little bit longer of a season. And we came back with one of the top 5 worst episodes of Going Obscure.
We did Roanoke Calling. Now before this, my brother, or before the season started writing, I guess, so this would be in November, my brother was like, hey, you gotta cover Roanoke. It was like a coven. There was a bunch of witches there. And then it was crazy. That's why they all disappeared. I was like, are you sure Roanoke? Because I'm pretty sure that's just the lost colony. And he was like, no. You gotta listen. It's a coven. There's witches. That's where the witch trials were. And I believed him because I thought maybe that was like a secret theory that had to do with Roanoke. Turns out it wasn't. The whole episode's just talking about the history. So it's basically, it's a video that your history teacher would show you in school, basically. And I wouldn't be surprised if we got really popular and teachers started doing that.
Matt's older brother said that he wanted a Roanoke Colony, and then he realized he meant Salem after we were already done with the episode. So we would have done Salem if he knew what he was talking about. So Roanoke is kind of a misstep episode.
You caused us much pain with that episode.
Kekrok is one of our fun episodes we always do. Like in season 2, we also did SpongeBob Defecation Brazilian broadcast, which was a topic on the iceberg that also got popular because of the joke. You know, it's funny. I don't know if there was a specific... Well, Simpsons was season 1's funny. But Kekrok was a lot of fun to write because it was just dumb fun. I've always known about Kekrok since it existed back in like 2016, and I could just meme it up. And finally, we ended on episode 30's Death Dream and Liminal Spaces. That was an interesting one because it was our first Going Obscure episode that was rewritten after it was finished.
We had to redo that episode because of Caretaker fandom being pee-pee poo-poo now. So, yeah.
We decided to rewrite it and add liminal spaces into the topic because it was kind of like a duo episode I wanted to try out and see if it worked, because I feel like Death Dream and liminal spaces works together as kind of like a weird aesthetic, if that makes sense.
That's the end of season 3, and we're looking for big things for season 4, which is not happening now because I quit.
Guess what? We're not done stratting. We're ready to run for season 4.
Okay, just end it.